Alrighty, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Eline Podcast. I'm your host Mark Rose, and we have our special guest today, Truez. And then also
What up?
we have who? Who?
Hi, I'm Kiara.
Ellie.
Okay. All right. So Truez, and first of all, I've seen Truez Nation or Truez. How do you like to be referred to?
Definitely true. Some people say Truth Nation, but I mean, the brand sticks hard, so hard to run away from it. But definitely Truth.
Okay. So how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. Took a trip to Second and Charles. I watched that movie 65. Went to the movies, seen that. Really good. Pretty cool, smooth Sunday.
Nice, nice. We like that. Okay, cool. So here's so music. A lot of us know you from music and being in the music world. And so there are like a few things that we want to talk about today between music, the ego death, a new project, um, coaching. I think it's basketball for kids. So we're gonna get into some things. But can you like give us like a brief, background about yourself, how you got into music and how that's led up to where you are now?
Sure. Brief background. So I was born in Jersey 31 long years ago. No, but I was born in Jersey and yeah, kind of my brother used to do music when I was younger and I kind of got hooked on it. Tried it out when I was super young. I was probably like 6, 7 when I probably wrote my first rhyme. But I was too concerned with sports and all of that stuff. So I didn't really go along with it until I was like 12, 13 and I used to bring like a handheld tape recorder to school, and I'm a part-time comedian, by the way. So I used to bring a handheld recorder and do like impressions of people, like impersonations and shit. Can I curse? Is that okay?
Do your thing.
All right, good. All right, so yeah, so I used to do impressions, and one day I flipped the song "This Is How We Do" by 50 Cent in Game and made it into some funny stuff. But my homeboy told me, he was like, "Man, this is actually good." And so when he told me that, it kind of like we'll later get into it, but it fed my ego so hard that like in ninth grade when I got to Josie, I didn't do any schoolwork. I just wrote rhymes all day long. So, and then I released my first CD when I was in Josie too. I printed up my own CDs. I made my covers. I put the little sticky joint around the CD. So when you see it, it'll have a cover on it. I recorded all my songs after school in the math lab in the computer. So we would bring up like the sound click, the Windows, the Windows media player. So you play the beat and then you go straight to the sound click and then you click record and then you'll rap into the fatback computer. Like it was no microphone, so you rap right into the speaker. So you couldn't fuck up. You couldn't. It all had to be one take. So and I released my first CD like that. So that was like, and yeah, I just kind of been going crazy with music ever since.
Yeah, awesome. So what route of music, like, what genre do you like the best? Like when you make music, where does that come from with making music and the genre and the sounds? Like how's that process for you?
Um, it's I'm a tricky guy. Like my mother tells the story that my dad is what do you call it? What's the 70s joint where they had all the artists come through Soul Train. So she'll say, my dad is Soul Train and she's American Bandstand. So she like all the white artists and all the rock and roll shit and all of that. And my dad like the other stuff. So I think that's how I am as an artist. Like I really love listening to classic rock music and all kinds of different genres when I'm not recording, but rap is like the the one sport that I put over 10,000 hours in. to become a master at it. So it's like I'm just good. I'm really great at it, but I like to try different things because when it's all said and done, I want my kids to be able to say like, "Daddy got so much shit." Like, you know what I mean? I want to be the Superman of the house. We'll see if that ever happens. I don't have any kids now, but like, we'll see if that happens. But I definitely want to not leave any stones unturned.
Yeah. So how many kids would you want to have since you mentioned kids?
Not one and not three. So either four or two.
Do you have siblings or are you an only child?
Yeah, I'm the youngest out of my two brothers. My eldest brother is like 44, and my other brother is like 39. So I'm the baby. We
Uh
all 6 years apart. So I'm kind of like the only child.
yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's like if they're
Yeah.
like older, you're still to yourself and you guys are on
Hmm.
levels and ages, so you're just doing different things. So the
Yeah.
communication, it's a lot different.
Yeah, very, very different. And I grew up really close to my mother too. So it's just been me and her for like probably off and on for like the last 15 to 20 years of my life. It's just been kind of me and her. So
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah.
Um, I want to get into like so I think this was last year. You were thinking about quitting music. Can we talk about that? And then also what I'm going to mention is when you mentioned that was it Floyd in the Sky who we actually talked with recently earlier today.
Nice.
I think in the status you mentioned that he named you his arch nemesis or something.
Yeah, did y'all
Yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah, you tweeted. No, we didn't talk about it. We should have. It just came
Yeah,
to me. I should have brought that up, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I want your. What was that about?
So Floyd ran into me at the loft. Uh, since we're on a Zoom, this could be viewed worldwide. Downtown Augusta.
Okay.
We was at the loft and we ran into each other, and he came up to me and was like, "Man, I heard you was thinking about quitting music," and I was just like, "Yeah, you know." And he was like, "Man, you can't quit." And I was kind of like, why is Floyd telling me that I can't quit music? And he was like, yeah, man, because you're like my arch nemesis. Like, he's like, you ever watch anime? And I was like, I understand the concepts. And then he was like, yeah, you're like my arch nemesis. Like, without you, like, how can I be better? Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, I understand that. I understand that wholeheartedly because I feel like a lot of other artists feel like that too, but they won't say it.
Mhm.
And Floyd told me the other day. He said he operates 79% ego, so he operates from his ego 79% of the time. Me personally, I do not. But like, but I understood because I talked that talk. So I understood where he was coming from, and it kind of gave me like a little extra gas to kind of like, I not yet. Let me do a few more things. You know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty cool though. It was a huge compliment.
Okay, so what made you decide to quit, like want to quit music and say that and want to quit and then which we're gonna get into it. You just released an EP, so
Yeah.
just like a full circle. So what made you want to quit music?
So I'm always searching for like I hate the box, right? Like I do not like the box. And one box that I've been placed in is, of course, it's like I forgot those little things that you open up. You open up one, and then like another thing pops out, and then in that another thing pops out, and then in that, so on and so forth. I forget what you call that, but it's like a box in a box in a box. So it's like I got the wrapper box, but so in the wrapper box, people expect this from me, and it's just hard to operate through parameters that you're not really attached to. So it's like, how can I sustain myself as an artist and not like grow cold of the actual sport of it all? So I'm like, man, and ironically, I dropped like the EP that you talked about. Like I dropped it as pop. It has no rap in it. You know what I mean? I got a rock and roll song on there. It's just everything that I want to do because I know one, I want to be the one to show people that you can do other things. You don't have to be subjected to one thing. And then two, because like I've been rapping for years and it's like, how many punchlines can I say? Like, like how much pain can I write about before it haunts me?
Yeah.
So it's like all of that kind of stuff, and me doing like this pop album and keeping it simple, and not really having to delve too deep into the darkest depths to make somebody feel like I'm like this great artist. Like I got a deal off of rapping about my breakup with a chick that I dated for like 4 years, and I got a deal off that, but I never healed from that.
Oh, wow.
But it's really weird how that goes. Like you date somebody for 4 years, you break up, you drop an album, you get signed, you go on tour. There's no healing being done, and then you look up 3 years later, and you're like, man, you just been rapping about pain like this whole time, but it was because that's what sold, and I was like, man, I don't want to sell that shit no more. But on the flip side of that, the car that I have, and this is all metaphor, but the car that I drive and the car that I have was built off pain. So it's like, how can I drive this car without gassing it up with pain? And so I teeter on the line of quitting all the time, because it's like, I don't want to hurt nobody else from rapping about how I feel. It's two sides to every story, and I'm not going to be the person that say like my side rules everything.
Right.
But I also know that it's therapy too. It's the cheapest therapy that I can ever get. An hour in the studio. $100. Like that's the cheapest therapy that I can get. So just finding that balance. And we talked earlier. Like I'm a Libra, so it's kind of like it's instilled in me to kind of try to find a balance. Libras aren't always balanced. A lot of the times it's about searching for the balance. So that's what I always would do for the rest of my days, is just search for the balance.
Hmm. Well, that's deep. So do you fit well, because you kind of mentioned about the pain that you're still like, do you feel like, so are you still in the process of trying to heal from that whole era, or have you healed from it in terms of like the breakup in the music?
Yeah, I've healed from that one, but in the process of healing that one, another one happens. So it's like life don't stop for nobody.
Yeah.
So it's like, you might get into another relationship, and that joint don't end up the right way, but you're careful. You're like, I'm not about to do what I did before. And so I didn't do what I did before. You know what I mean? So it's healing. Healing is
Yeah.
all the time. It's all the time.
So with the new EP, so Nirvana, um, talk about it. Let us know, what was your inspiration behind this? Because it's pop. It is lighter. So do you feel like this is something you can play a lot more than your older music, and then you'll be okay with
Yes.
it? Yeah, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. Like it's man, I could send it to my mother, and my mother can listen to it and not be like, "Oh, well, what are you talking about?" Because
Yeah,
there's been a lot of times that I'd be excited and be like, "Mom, listen to this," and then she'd listen, but I done said stuff about growing up without a dad, and you never know how that makes Mama feel, because
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? She was the dad and the mom, so it's like I had to learn that other spectrum. And then my dad came down here. I saw him for the first time in some years, and he came to my crib, and it's my first house that I got. And he was like, I played him this song called "Still Alive," and I was singing on it. And I remember how excited he was to hear it.
mhm,
And I was like, it's some healing going on within my music too as well. So it's like I wanted to kind of promote that a little bit more and kind of sink into that. In the Nirvana aspect, the word Nirvana comes from like, if you study Buddhism, Nirvana is where all Buddhists try to reach, and that's just a complete detachment from whatever the world may offer.
mhm.
So I'm trying to be completely detached from a lot of the things. Like Buddha says, a man that is happy is a man that has no ego. You know what I mean? And I was like, I felt that. I was like, man, my ego is how I made a name for myself. But it's like I don't want to be attached to it, like I used to be. So it's like, how can I do that? And it starts with what I do the most, and that's create. And So I created a sound and some stuff that, I text one of the kids that I coached. I text his mother and I was like, yo, play this for Alex. You can play this anytime, anywhere, no profanity, no nothing. And she texted me back and was like, Alex loves it. And I was like, that made me feel great because, you know, my other music, he got to get older, to listen to, or he got to sneak and listen to it at night, but he could never play it in front of his parents. And I just don't like that box. And that goes to those parameters again. And I was like, man, how can I bust these down, man, and like continue with the mission and give it to everybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm. So speaking about kids, so I did notice that you're like coaching with basketball for kids. Are you
Mhm.
still doing that? Or is that like a temporary thing or
Definitely temporary, but it's like it's a community. So everybody been asking me, am I going to coach again? And all the parents was like, are you going to coach again next year? I was like, if you guys want me to coach, I would definitely coach. But it was probably the most liberating thing that I've done in a long time, man. Just getting around kids with this energy and figuring out how to pull greatness out of them, because I've been doing it with adults with music and throwing shows and stuff like that. And with adults, they come with a lot of baggage, so it's hard to pull something out of them. But with the kids, man, it was like it was so. I'm not going to say it was easy, but it was like if you could talk that talk, is really easy. You know what I mean? And to see them go to the we went to the semifinals. We was a team that wasn't supposed to be in the semifinals. I was the last coach to sign on. Therefore, I got the last pickings of the kids that were good, all of that kind of stuff. Like, and we went all the way to the semifinals, and that was like a huge win. And I was like sick a little bit when the last game was happened, and I knew I wasn't going to see him again. So, my way of staying connected was like doing a project like this so they can still have me in their lives, like in a certain type of way.
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you like to play basketball in your spare time?
No, I don't play no more. I tore both of my Achilles. Like, yeah, one time when I was 17 and the other time when I was like 26. And nah, I got my jersey is in the rafters now.
Well,
Earlier you mentioned that you were a part-time comedian. Was that just like something you were doing for fun, or is that something you ever actually tried to
Oh,
pursue?
I got jokes in my phone now. I definitely have jokes in my phone. I'm when I do my first comedy show, it's gonna be out of the city so I can see how it goes, just in case I
Yeah.
bomb. Nobody has to hold it against me, anything like that. But like, yeah, like all I do is make jokes, man. Like I make jokes every day because the world is just so fucked up that like you gotta laugh. So
Yeah.
that's and if you listen to my music, it's a lot of irony in it, and so that's how I see the world. I see it in irony. So what's
Yeah.
ironic about a black guy with no kids coaching kids and being sad when the season ends? Like it's so much comedy in that shit. Like it's funny as hell, even to me.
Yeah. I love comedy, so I'm looking forward to that.
Word. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I wanted to ask a question about something I saw, okay, that you posted online. It's a status. And I like this. I feel like it's deep, so I want you to go in depth. So it says, sadly, I must take shape even to be formless. I feel like that was deep. Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Why'd you post that?
yeah. Like it's almost like it's almost like if you were a ghost. If you, yeah, let's not speak about death, but let's just say like if you were a ghost and you wanted your loved one to know you were there, you got to show yourself to let them know that you're there. But ultimately, you're formless. So with me, everybody, like I have producers that come over to my crib and they'll be like, Truce, you got to do this. Truce, people don't do this until you do this. And ain't nobody dropping music and all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, man, I want to be formless. I want to not have these commands or not have the people want me to do something just so they can do it. I want that to happen, but I'm also for the greater good of the people. So maybe like what we were talking about, maybe I got to hop on stage a couple of times for other people to hop on stage. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like the first time you see Optimus Prime take shape and you be like, oh shit, there's some other shit going on.
Yeah.
And you see Bumblebee, like, you know, when Sam was like, what the fuck are you, when the car transformed? But it's like he had to show his form so Sam could know like what he is. You know what I mean? And then we can go from there. But like, I'm just a firm believer that sometimes, man, you just got to do it yourself. Like, it was times where if you read the Bible, I'm not a big religious person, but like, yeah, when I came down to the South, like that's all people do is go to church. But like, Jesus felt the same way. Like, he wasn't always just super fucking happy about the journey he was going on, and knowing he was going to die for his shit, he wasn't happy like with it, but he had to take that form to be formless for a lot of people who need it, whether it's the concept of Jesus or whether it's Jesus for real. You know what I mean? So you gotta take shape to be formless, which is crazy. It's like
Mm.
the universe. It's like, you know, they say the universe is endless, but it really does have a form, but it's endless. So, you know, the only time that you can really pinpoint the universe's form is if you travel through it, or if you see a planet, or if you see a galaxy. That's the only way you can pinpoint where you are in that box. But like, the universe is vast, you know, and so I want to be vast, and I want people to be able to just to pinpoint these different areas instead of me being subjected to being planet Earth. You know what I mean? Like, and I gotta rotate for everybody, and make sure that the water levels don't get too high, or it's a fucking flood and thousands and millions of people die. Like, I just want to be formless.
Mm. I like
Yeah.
that. That's deep. I feel like you're very in tune with the moment and aware of like yourself and your emotions and everything around you. And I really like that about you, by the way.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. It's a long journey, but I appreciate that.
Hmm. Okay. And then also, what I really want to talk about is the ego and the ego death. I feel like within this past year, I've seen you kind of talk about that. And then when you posted the EP recently and you talked about it, you mentioned how you will put like your ego into your music. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So what, how many people here got an ego?
I mean, I feel like everyone has the ego.
Right? So I wanna go, let's go around the room virtually.
Hmm.
Mark, where does your ego lie?
Oh, you're asking me a question. Okay, well, where does my ego lie?
Yeah, where does it live? Where does it eat? Where does it shit?
Say that my ego lies in knowing I've been doing like a lot of self-exploration lately, and it's lying in knowing who I am and knowing what I stand for and knowing what I don't stand for. But really that balance of, okay, this is what I stand for. And I feel like that's very important because I feel like with your ego, you'll have people who will use like an ego and it could come off kind of vicious and because they just
Right.
focus just on that. But with me and my ego is like, okay, Mark, you know who you are, you know what what you stand for. Don't let anything or anyone get in the way of that. And then also, I feel like the ego is kind of letting things be known of what it is, or that you got to let it know what it is a little bit in a way. But it's just how you let it know what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like how you
So
go about
so
it.
so yes, it's how you go about explaining your ego. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Wait, but we still going around the room. I need others to chime in. Where your egos lie?
Jules, I know you over here. He trying to come first. He said this is gonna be a whole interactive
I
little.
really want to hear this here.
Oh yeah, yeah. You,
I'll go.
yeah. One of y'all got to go.
Yeah, you go.
You go.
Hey. Oh, okay. So with me, I think it's changed over the years drastically. Shifted in many ways. I think with Eli, let's speak on him. I think with him, it was more so the ego lied in the music, it lied in the filming, it lied in being a leader of all sorts and like doing the business entrepreneurship until all crashed and burned. And um, I think now it just, I don't even know where it lies anymore. It's not really here consciously as much at all. I'm just trying to just take one day at a time. Because after I decided to, let's just say join the other team, I realized that, let's put it here. Like, okay, so as a man, Eli was the achiever. He was the leader, the achiever, the one taking action. As Ellie, I'm a receiver. So I'm learning to receive and take what comes to me and be grateful. So it's a completely different setup. And there's no rush, there's no deadline, there's no obligation like it was with creating and running a business and all that stuff. Even though this is a business in itself, it's still more of the spirit and of the heart.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with telling people what to do, setting schedules, anything like that. This type of creating is sharing experiences. And that's what really is, it's opening my heart up and like teaching me so much from others' background and where they come from. And it just humbles me and it excites me. So I'm just more so like open to opportunity as Ellie.
Word. Word. I like what you said. Like, you know, the ego drives us in so many different places, man. Like, we need our ego. I'm not sure if any of y'all ever seen the movie Fight Club. I'm a big movie head, by the way. So like in Fight Club, the guy just suffered from schizophrenia. He developed this other personality, which was played by Brad Pitt, but he had no idea that it was him. And it was really his ego. You know what I mean? Just taking over everything that he saw. That he was like, "Oh, this is fucked up." Like when you internalize, when you see something and be like, "That's fucked up," and you don't do nothing about it, you internalize it, and then once you internalize it, your subconscious start working, and you have no control over your subconscious. So you might go to sleep and then wake up and then feel like king shit, and then that's when you might tweet some king shit, or you might go out in the streets and say something and all of this kind of stuff, and then you might receive some great praise from it. And then that's the deadly part, when you start receiving praise from your ego, because then you know what you got to tap into in order to actually receive that praise again. And so that's the dangerous part of the ego. So Kira, you're next.
I didn't forget about you.
I don't really know how to answer that, but I will say tapping into something like when receiving praise is something that I think I kind of thrive off of, or something that keeps me going sometimes.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we can...
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kira.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have much to say on it, but like I just know like when I'm teaching, um, and just someone says something like, "Oh, you do that so well," or whatever it is, and I'm like, "Oh, I know. Now I gotta do more."
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then when you do more, man, it's just it's plus charges and minus charges of this whole entire world. So once you do more, you receive more, good and bad. And then it's like, then you get to that place where we all are probably like, I'm not sure everybody's age, but when I was 28, that's when I went through my ego death, Mark. 28, I was going through the ego death,
You
and I
know,
was angry.
you know what's crazy? And not to interrupt you. So, you know how they say like at 28 for males, that's when our brains are fully developed. So I just thought that was
Right.
very interesting.
No, So look, yeah. So here's the science. So the science is every 7 years, your body changes
Yeah.
chemically, physically, all of that shit. So when you're in my seven being 31, and my seven being, I think, is the fifth seven or something like that. But I'm not a mathematician. But so me being in the fifth seven, all of my faculties are coming together in my brain, like you said, you know what I mean? But while you're going through that ego death, or what or the struggle period, your ego will show its ass. And my ego is fierce. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fire in my ego. It's not like my ego is pretty and sexy and all of this shit. Like my ego is not like that. My ego is fierce. I feel like me as a person, I'm pretty and sexy, but my ego is a different type of person.
Mm.
And so I was going through a lot of, and you knew me at the time, you know, you see me more in humanity or whatever, but like I know how to put my ego aside to do what I need to do for like the community. But like, man, I was getting into it with so many different people, prominent people and stuff like that. My ego would just run rampant, and it'd be correct. My ego would be right. It would be 100% right. But like you said, how are you delivering the message? So when I realized that I had been delivering this message all wrong all along, like I'll give you an example. Nicola Stevens, Nicola, he takes pictures and stuff like that, photographer.
Okay. Yeah.
So he takes pictures for so many different type of beautiful women, and it's awesome. But I remember one time I had did an interview, and I was just on some fuck being humble type shit, and I was just letting it all loose. I'm talking about my ego was everywhere. And then he did the interview, and then him the same night, him and his girl LaBeija came over to my crib, and we just chilled and talked. And I asked him how the interview go, and she said he was on his true shit. And then I was like, "What you mean on his true shit?" Oh, he was saying how he was the best photographer and all of that kind of stuff and all of that. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I realized what kind of message I was putting out, or what my ego was putting out there, and making other people like feel like they have to say these things and all of that kind of shit. And then I realized that there was a responsibility even to my friends. Like, I'm like, oh man, like my shit is running rampant. So me quitting music, sometimes I have to say it and actually make the process, like try to fill out my 2 weeks notice, but not give it into the manager. Like I have to go through that to let my ego know, like, bro, you know what I mean? I'm in control of this shit, you know? And now I think you're supposed to use your ego as a weapon,
Yeah.
only when necessary,
When
you
necessary.
know?
I like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, choose. I feel like we could go in and so deep. I know we are running out of like a little time, so we're definitely going to have to talk again about this. But what would you say to like your younger self, younger Trues, or anyone who's like a child, someone who's still living wherever they're living at? They're going to school, whether they're like in the first, second, third grade, they're in high school, middle school, trying to figure it out. What would you say to them?
I would say this too shall pass.
Mm,
You know, like, everything we go through, man, it's not in stone. Nothing is in stone. You know what I mean? And I would say to people who even feel suicidal about shit, like, yeah, it's a brave thing to commit suicide and not know what's on the other side, but it's even braver to live 70 to 80 years still not knowing and going through all the emotions and pain and all of this kind of stuff, and understanding that we are all creatives, like we are all creating from a different type of source. But a lot of people don't know that they're creators. Women are the ultimate creators. If you look at the statistics, women don't commit suicide like men commit suicide.
yeah.
And if you dig deeper into a racial aspect of the statistics, Black people don't commit suicide. That is because we used to pain. So I would tell people like, this too shall pass. I never thought I'd be sitting here in my own crib with like this beautiful painting of this elephant behind me because I thought I was going through so many dark days that I thought I was gonna die in the shit. So I rap like it, like just in case it was your last time hearing me, I'm going to show my ass. You know what I mean? But then 2 years later, it's like, oh damn, why I had to show my ass like that? But it's really because I thought I was gone. I thought my pain would consume me, but it's not consumable. If you stay creative, man, you'll be okay. You'll do just fine, and not look for praise from anybody. Just kind of like let it go for a greater good. Like mine's is my kids that I don't have, but like others, it could be the kids that they do have. You know what I mean? The mother that in the pandemic when she started her own business and the kids saw that, that might do crazy. Whether that mother keeps up with the business or not, that business, that the fact that the kids saw that helps the kid tremendously.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you kind of got to just stay creative, man. You got to do Zoom calls like you're doing. You know what I mean? You got to do these interviews. You got to stay creative. You got to take those pictures laying in the water with the fruit. You know what I mean?
Not you coming for me. Yes. Well, Truez, no, thank you for just being you. Thank you for sharing yourself, your perspective. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you for sure. And I feel like a lot of people of all sorts of ages, like backgrounds, need to hear this conversation. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you. And is there gonna be any more music soon?
Yes. I'm currently writing some music from a guy overseas. He did my Art Angel project, but he's from Croatia,
Mhm.
and so I'm back writing again. I can't tell you how I'm gonna move with it, really, to be honest. But I will be getting on stage soon. But outside of that, I can't tell you how it's gonna look because, like like we talked about, you gotta be formless. So we just gonna see.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you again, Truez. This is the E-Line Podcast. I'm Mark Rose with Ellie, Kiera, and Truez. Until next time, like he said, keep doing your thing. This too shall pass, whatever you're going through, and just keep thriving, keep being creative, keep being passionate, and just know that everything's going to be okay. All right.
There
We
you
love
go.
you all. Thank you. And until next time.